The National Electrical Code, specifically Article 230.70 AON, addresses the high requirements for service panels. The code states that the service panel must be installed not more than 6 feet 7 inches, which is equivalent to 2.1 meters above the floor or working platform. It's important to adhere to this maximum height to ensure accessibility for inspection, maintenance, and operation of the service panel. However, there are exceptions to this rule. If it's impractical to mount the service panel at the specified height, it may be installed higher, provided certain conditions are met. Firstly, the service panel must remain accessible. This means that there should be a clear and unobstructed pathway to the panel, allowing qualified personnel to safely reach and work on it. Secondly, additional means must be provided to support the service panel. This is especially important when the panel is mounted higher than the standard height, as it ensures that the panel is securely supported and won't pose a safety hazard. The code allows for installations exceeding the 6 foot 7 inch height limit. The height should not exceed 12 feet, which translates to 3.66 meters. This is the absolute maximum height allowed, even with the previously mentioned exceptions. The purpose of these regulations is to balance accessibility and practicality in electrical installations. Maintaining a reasonable height for service panels promotes safety and ease of use for homeowners and electrical professionals. Always consult the latest edition of the National Electrical Code and local regulations for specific requirements in your area. Electrical work should only be performed by qualified and licensed electricians to ensure safety and compliance. Understanding these NEC guidelines is crucial for anyone involved in electrical work. Failing to comply with these standards can result in safety hazards, code violations, and potential liability. The 6 foot 7 inch maximum height is a crucial safety measure, as it ensures that most individuals can reach the service panel without needing specialized equipment. However, the NEC recognizes that sometimes, due to building constraints or other factors, it is impractical to meet this requirement. That is why the code provides for exceptions. If these exceptions apply and the service panel is installed higher, there are additional safety considerations to be aware of. Firstly, ensuring the panel is accessible means that there should be no obstructions, such as furniture, boxes, or other items blocking access to the panel. It also means that the surrounding area should be well lit, so that anyone working on the panel can see clearly. Secondly, providing additional support for the panel is essential to ensure that it can safely handle the weight of the electrical components and wiring. This could involve using sturdier mounting hardware, reinforcing the wall behind the panel, or installing additional support brackets. The 12-foot maximum height is the absolute limit, even if the accessibility and support requirements are met. This is to prevent the panel from being installed so high that it becomes difficult or dangerous to work on. When installing a service panel, it's always best to consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that all applicable codes and regulations are followed. An electrician can assess the specific site conditions and determine the best location and height for the panel, taking into account safety, accessibility, and practicality. Here is some additional important information regarding National Electrical Code compliance in electrical installations. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC for the most up-to-date regulations and requirements. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards that cover a wide range of electrical topics, including wiring methods, grounding, overcurrent protection, and equipment installation. Compliance with the NEC is essential to ensure the safety of electrical systems and prevent electrical hazards. Firstly, it's important to understand the scope of the NEC. The NEC applies to virtually all electrical installations, both residential and commercial. It covers everything from the service entrance to the branch circuits that power individual appliances and devices. Secondly, the NEC is not a law, but it is widely adopted by state and local governments as the basis for their electrical codes. This means that compliance with the NEC is often legally required. Thirdly, the NEC is updated every 3 years, so it's important to stay current with the latest edition. Changes to the NEC can have a significant impact on electrical installations, so it's essential to be aware of the latest requirements. Furthermore, The NEC is organized into chapters and articles, each covering a specific topic. Chapter 1 contains general information, such as definitions and scope. Chapters 2 through 7 cover specific aspects of electrical installations, such as wiring methods, equipment, and special occupancies. Chapter 9 contains tables and examples that provide additional guidance. The NEC also includes informative annexes that provide additional information and guidance. These annexes are not part of the enforceable requirements of the NEC, but they can be helpful in understanding and applying the code. Lastly, compliance with the NEC is the responsibility of everyone involved in electrical installations, including electricians, contractors, and inspectors. It's important to work together to ensure that electrical systems are installed safely and in accordance with the code. Here are some additional details that could be explained further. Accessibility refers to the ability to safely and easily reach the service panel for inspection, maintenance, and operation. Accessibility requirements vary depending on the specific application, but generally, the panel should be located in a well-lit area with adequate clearance around it. Obstructions such as furniture, equipment, or storage materials should not block access to the panel. In some cases, the NEC may require a dedicated workspace around the panel to provide sufficient room for working safely. The means of support refers to the methods used to securely mount the service panel to the wall or other structure. The support must be strong enough to withstand the weight of the panel and its components, as well as any additional loads that may be imposed on it. Common methods of support include using screws, bolts, or other fasteners to attach the panel to studs or other structural members. In some cases, it may be necessary to provide additional support, such as brackets or straps, to ensure that the panel is securely mounted. The height of the service panel is measured from the finished floor or working platform to the top of the panel. The NEC specifies a maximum height of 6 feet 7 inches for service panels, but there are exceptions for certain situations. If it is impractical to mount the panel at the specified height, it may be installed higher, provided that it remains accessible and additional means of support are provided. However, the height cannot exceed 12 feet under any circumstances. In some cases, local codes or regulations may impose more stringent height requirements. It is important to check with the local authorities to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Electrical installation should only be performed by qualified and licensed electricians. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to have the necessary training and experience to perform the work safely. A qualified electrician will be familiar with the NEC and other applicable codes and regulations, and will be able to ensure that the electrical installation is performed in a safe and compliant manner. Service panels should be inspected regularly to ensure that they are in good working order. Inspections should be performed by a qualified electrician. During an inspection, the electrician will check for signs of damage, such as corrosion, loose connections, or overheating. The electrician will also test the functionality of the panel's components, such as circuit breakers and fuses. If any problems are found, the electrician will recommend the appropriate repairs or replacements. It's important to remember that the NEC is a complex and comprehensive set of standards, and it can be difficult to understand and apply all of the requirements. If you have any questions or concerns about electrical installations, it's always best to consult with a qualified electrician. An electrician can provide expert advice and guidance to ensure that your electrical system is safe and compliant. Here are some additional points about the context of exceptions. When the NEC allows exceptions to the standard height requirement, it is generally because strict adherence would present significant challenges without substantially improving safety. For example, in older homes, the existing wiring configuration or structural limitations might make it difficult or impossible to mount the service panel at the prescribed height. In such cases, the exceptions provide flexibility while still prioritizing safety. However, it is important to note that the exceptions are not intended to be used as a matter of convenience. The NEC requires that the service panel be installed at the standard height whenever reasonably possible. Only when strict adherence would be impractical or create other safety hazards should the exceptions be considered. When exceptions are used, it is important to document the reasons for deviating from the standard height requirement. This documentation can be helpful during inspections or when making future modifications to the electrical system. When evaluating whether an exception is justified, it is important to consider the potential impact on accessibility and safety. Will the higher mounting height make it more difficult for homeowners or electricians to access the service panel for maintenance or repairs? Will it create any additional hazards, such as the need for ladders or other specialized equipment? It is also important to consider the potential impact on the resale value of the home. Some buyers may be concerned about the higher mounting height even if it is compliant with the NEC. The authority having jurisdiction, which is the local electrical inspector or other code enforcement official, has the final say on whether an exception is allowed. The authority having jurisdiction will review the specific circumstances and make a determination based on the NEC and other applicable codes and regulations. Here is some more important information. Understanding the specific language used in the National Electrical Code is crucial for proper interpretation and application of its requirements. The NEC uses precise terminology to avoid ambiguity and ensure that all stakeholders understand the regulations in the same way. The word shall indicates a mandatory requirement. When the NEC states that something shall be done, it means that compliance is absolutely required. Failure to comply with a shall requirement is a violation of the code. The word should indicate a recommendation or advisory. While compliance with requirements is not mandatory, it is generally considered good practice. The word may indicates permission or allowance. When the NEC states that something may be done, it means that it is permissible but not required. The word approved means acceptable to the authority having jurisdiction. The authority having jurisdiction is the local electrical inspector or other code enforcement official. The authority having jurisdiction has the final say on whether an electrical installation is compliant with the NEC. The term accessible means capable of being reached for inspection, maintenance, or repair without disturbing the building structure or finish. The term readily accessible means capable of being reached quickly for operation, renewal, or inspection without requiring those to whom ready access is requisite to climb over or remove obstacles or to resort to portable ladders, and so forth. The term service equipment refers to the necessary equipment, usually consisting of a circuit breaker or switch and fuses, and their accessories connected to the load end of service conductors to a building or other structure and intended to constitute the main control and cutoff of the supply. The term working space refers to the space around the electrical equipment that is necessary for safe operation and maintenance. The NEC specifies minimum dimensions for working space based on the voltage and amperage of the equipment. It is important to understand these definitions and terms when interpreting and applying the NEC requirements. Proper interpretation and application of the NEC is essential for ensuring the safety of electrical systems and preventing electrical hazards. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC and other applicable codes and regulations when performing electrical work. And always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about electrical installations. The service panel is the main distribution point for electricity in a home. It receives power from the utility company and distributes it to the various circuits that power lights, appliances, and other devices throughout the house. The service panel typically contains a main circuit breaker that can be used to disconnect all power to the house. It also contains individual circuit breakers for each circuit in the house. The circuit breakers are designed to protect the wiring from overloads and short circuits. When a circuit is overloaded or shorted, the circuit breaker will trip, cutting off power to the circuit. This prevents the wiring from overheating and potentially causing a fire. The service panel is an important safety device, and it is essential to keep it in good working order. If you notice any problems with your service panel, such as flickering lights, tripped circuit breakers, or burning smells, you should contact a qualified electrician immediately. Do not attempt to repair the service panel yourself, as this can be dangerous. When choosing a location for the service panel, it is important to consider the following factors. Firstly, accessibility. The service panel should be located in a place that is easily accessible for inspection, maintenance, and repair. It should not be located behind furniture, appliances, or other obstructions. Secondly, safety. The service panel should be located in a place that is dry and well ventilated. It should not be located in a damp or humid area, as this can cause corrosion and electrical problems. Thirdly, convenience. The service panel should be located in a place that is convenient for the homeowner. It should be located near the main entrance to the house or in a central location. The service panel should be installed by a qualified electrician. The electrician will ensure that the service panel is properly grounded and that all wiring is installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code. The electrician will also test the service panel to ensure that it is working properly. The service panel should be inspected regularly by a qualified electrician. The electrician will check for signs of damage, such as corrosion, loose connections, or overheating. The electrician will also test the functionality of the circuit breakers. If any problems are found, the electrician will recommend the appropriate repairs or replacements. Here is some related information about electrical safety in general. Electrical safety is a critical aspect of home maintenance and personal well-being. Understanding basic electrical principles and safety practices can significantly reduce the risk of electrical shocks, fires, and other hazards. Never overload electrical circuits. Overloading occurs when you draw more current than the circuit is designed to handle, leading to overheating and potential fires. Avoid using multiple high-wattage appliances in the same circuit simultaneously. Regularly inspect electrical cords and appliances for damage. Frayed cords, cracked insulation, and loose connections can create fire hazards and increase the risk of electrical shock. Replace damaged cords immediately. Use ground fault circuit interrupters in wet locations. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to detect ground faults, which occur when electricity flows through an unintended path, such as through a person's body. GFCIs quickly shut off the power, preventing serious injury or death. Test GFCIs regularly to ensure they are functioning properly. Keep electrical appliances away from water. Water is a conductor of electricity, so using electrical appliances near water can create a shock hazard. Never use hair dryers, radios, or other electrical devices in the bathroom while you are wet. Be careful when working near power lines. Power lines carry high voltage electricity, so it is essential to maintain a safe distance. Never touch power lines with any object, such as a ladder or tree branch. If you are working on a project that requires you to be near power lines, contact the utility company to request that the power be shut off temporarily. Use the correct size fuses and circuit breakers. Fuses and circuit breakers are designed to protect electrical circuits from overloads and short circuits. Using the wrong size fuse or circuit breaker can create a fire hazard. Never replace a fuse or circuit breaker with a higher amperage rating. If a fuse or circuit breaker trips frequently, have a qualified electrician inspect the circuit to determine the cause of the problem. Be aware of the signs of electrical problems. Flickering lights, warm outlets, and burning smells could be signs of electrical problems. If you notice any of these signs, contact a qualified electrician immediately. Do not attempt to repair electrical problems yourself, as this can be dangerous. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical safety, consult with a qualified electrician. An electrician can provide expert advice and guidance to ensure that your home is electrically safe. Lastly, educate children about electrical safety. Teach children about the dangers of electricity and how to avoid electrical shocks and fires. Supervise children closely when they are near electrical appliances and outlets. By following these electrical safety tips, you can significantly reduce the risk of electrical hazards in your home. Remember, electrical safety is everyone's responsibility.